The Marvels is
The Marvels is the MCU's messiest movie to date.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
If you ask most people why they hate Captain Marvel, they'll probably tell you that the character is unlikable, or that she's too powerful, or that she's a woman. But while all of these reasons have some truth to them, I don't think anybody truly understands the biggest problem with this character. And that is that we need more of her. Now, I'm aware that the MCU has created a strong apathy towards this character, but I believe that the vitriol this character brought upon herself isn't a symptom of how unlikable she is, but rather her complete lack of presence. Because at the end of the day, just because a character is unlikable, overpowered, or a woman doesn't mean that she can't be cool. Some of the most iconic and beloved characters are severely unlikable. We like to see conflict in stories, and we're interested in seeing how they get explored, how they get developed. And the bigger the dispute between two characters, the bigger the payoff can be when they finally come to an agreement. So making a story about an unlikable, overpowered woman should be prime ground for good conflict. Unfortunately, when the first Captain Marvel released, we actually got no Captain Marvel. We got Nick Fury, we got this alien guy, and that's about it. Yes, Captain Marvel is the main character of the movie, but her role in the story is actually a very small one. She barely has a stake in the story, she has no connection to Team Good Guy until she runs into them, and she never really advances the plot. It just kinda happens to her. You could take her out of the story and things would play the exact same way, except without her insane power level. And to make things worse, throughout most of the movie, Carol is basically brainwashed into behaving like someone else, which means that in every scene, she comes across like a sociopath.
Here's a proposition for you. You're gonna give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm gonna let you keep your hand.
Now this is very disappointing to me because I actually really like previous incarnations of Captain Marvel, particularly Earth's Mightiest Heroes Captain Marvel. And while I'm not gonna pretend like this is an amazing character, I do think she's a pretty good addition to the universe. She's a fun and resourceful character who is playful with her peers while also being a no-nonsense action gal who does her best to protect others. She's powerful but not too powerful, and most importantly, she actually gets along with the main characters. A lot of modern writers seem to misunderstand that there's a difference between being mean-spirited with your friends as a joke and being a generally unlikable person. When Carol is on her off time, it makes sense for her to cut loose a little bit and be a little meaner, but when she's in the middle of a battle, she's going to take things more seriously. But Captain Marvel in the MCU takes the opposite approach to teamwork, being rude and hostile to everyone she meets and acting like a maniac in all of her fights. It's the same basic character traits, but without any understanding of how they work, leaving us with a character that's both unlikable to the characters within the story and also unlikable to the audience. Also, I think it's pretty lame to introduce the first female superhero-led movie in the MCU and turn it into a message about defeating the patriarchy.
Yes! Queen! Slay!
Now, the reason I just spent the last few minutes recapping Captain Marvel is because, believe it or not, this is all the characterization she's had in the MCU. It's insane that after 5 years, her character has amounted to one boring movie and a few cameos in other films. All because people were filled with nothing but hate with this character. And don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming the people who complained about this movie for how lame she is, but I do believe that people's resentment for her is the reason why she never appeared in anything else. And that sucks because I feel like with just a few tweaks, you could have made this a great character. And when I saw the Marvels being announced, I was holding out the slightest bit of hope that she would finally get to be fun. But nope! Instead, we have to dilute her with two other obscure characters and put her in the most insane plot ever made by Marvel. Now, I actually thought that the Ms. Marvel show was pretty good up until it started. I kinda liked the characters and their dynamics, I thought the family was pretty fun, and I thought that it was kinda refreshing to see a show that focused on lower stakes than the multiverse. I think Kamala works fine as a protagonist because you can see that she has these big ambitions and a drive to be greater, but she never comes across as annoying or unlikable. She kinda hits that Spider-Man balance of being young enough to be naive while also being mature enough to know when to hold back. But while she does have the potential to be an interesting character, once the plot gets going, the show just kind of stops being good. And I couldn't even tell you how it ended because I didn't finish watching the show. But if we're being honest, neither did you. So anyways, now I'm gonna talk about Photon. What are her superpowers?
You can absorb light. I can see it.
Alright, that's great, thanks. Anyways, despite the fact that nobody cares about these characters, this could still have been a really good movie. Miss Marvel has a strong admiration for Captain Marvel based only on the fact that she blew up that ship in Endgame. So in this movie, you could challenge that perception. Have Kamala meet Captain Marvel and realize that she's not really the hero that she thought. That maybe the life of a superhero is much more difficult than what she dreamed of. You could start with Kamala being very excited to join Captain Marvel in one of her missions, only to slowly be put off by her aloof nature. Kamala is a naturally optimistic person, so it would make sense that it would take a long time before her patience runs thin, and once it finally does, it can open up the possibilities for really great character development. And I'm not saying Captain Marvel can't get in on this either, because the priority of this movie should be in making her a more likable character. So I think the worst thing that you can do is reveal to the audience that in between movies, she destroyed the Kree civilization, dried up the rivers, and literally turned off the sun. She's written so evil in this that I haven't been able to make fun of the actual villain in this movie. Darman is supposed to be the main antagonist of this movie, but just like all modern Marvel villains, she's a sympathetic villain. You can write a villain so that they're sympathetic in some way, but if you don't ever develop them beyond being evil, then the character just comes across as half-assed. 2023 has spoken, and it's clear that audiences respond more strongly to pure evil villains, because that inherently makes us root for the good guys. But in this movie, she's trying to get revenge on Captain Marvel for destroying the Kree civilization, drying up the rivers, and literally turning off the sun. Why is she written this way? Do you want us to hate her? It's a story where the good guys aren't allowed to be good, and the bad guys aren't allowed to be evil, and it's venomously unsatisfying. Considering the tone of this movie, you could have had a fun Disney villain. You don't need a complex reason as to why she hates Captain Marvel, because that should be why we want her to lose. But showing this character being completely miserable about how she was wronged makes me feel miserable watching her. So let's think for a second. What if we just make her want to kill Captain Marvel, not because Captain Marvel poisoned the atmosphere, yes she did that, but because the Kree just kinda hate her anyways. But because she's so ridiculously overpowered, she decides to use the power swap thingy to make her vulnerable. Except that instead of making them switch places, they switch bodies. Oh. Now listen, I can explain. Now Captain Marvel is a vulnerable little girl, and Miss Marvel is controlling the body of her childhood favorite hero. It's her dream. This gives us a good reason for both of the characters to want to meet, and it gives us good moments of the characters being uncomfortable. Because you know, that's a part of the hero's journey. But most importantly, now Carol has no choice but to work with Miss Marvel, as opposed to before, where she could just take Miss Marvel's cuff and go blow up Darman. This could be a great opportunity to have Kamala living out her greatest fantasy and being the hero that she's always dreamt of being, only to realize that being a hero is hard. She can have a certain expectation of how fighting Darman will play out, only to be crushed by how scary real-world villains actually are. This not only allows Darman to be actually intimidating, but it also makes it feasible for Darman to lose against someone with Captain Marvel powers, because Kamala is inexperienced. She doesn't have the soldier training that Carol had, and now she's working in a larger body with godlike powers she's never had. But on top of that, this gives Carol the opportunity to be a mentor to Kamala. She can start off being angry at her situation, getting mad at Kamala for having her body, but as they go along the adventure, they can form a bond through Carol teaching Kamala how to use these powers, all with the hilarity added that they're both in different bodies. You know what the best part of body swaps is? Getting to see actors playing each other. If the Marvels really wants to be this fun little family romp, then commit to it. You know that scene where they go to that stupid singing planet? Make that be the moment where they finally become good friends. Have Kamala be enthusiastic to sing, while Carol is much more reluctant. You can have fun with their performances as they fight over participating, only to have Kamala slowly but surely break Carol out of her shell. Because as it stands, this scene in the movie is the most annoying and pointless sequence. This friendship between both characters can be tested at the end of the movie when Kamala has to face Darman a second time, only to be reminded of how scarily powerful she was. You can have Carol realize that Miss Marvel is not ready to fight her, only to have Kamala rush in, overconfident of her abilities, and get devastatingly defeated. This can create so much room for both of their characters to have their tests. Captain Marvel is mad at Kamala for disobeying orders, and poor innocent Kamala is crushed that she failed her hero. Her happy-go-lucky attitude can now be depressed with panic and fear. Her heavy concerns and continuous disappointments over how difficult hero life actually is now culminate in her breaking down, struggling not to cry over her dreams being crushed in an instant, giving the opportunity for Carol to actually help her. At the start of the movie, she would have berated her for being immature and scolded her for disobeying orders. But now that she's had time to be with her, to understand her, to really get to know her, she can be more empathetic, caring, and dare I say, loving. She can tell Kamala that, yeah, it's hard to be a superhero, that sometimes you can get knocked down doing the job, but drawing from her experience, that as long as she can get back up again and again to keep fighting for what she believes, that she'll be the best hero that she can be. Can you imagine the revolution that we would have had if Captain Marvel did something like that in the movie? How quickly people would have gone from hating this character to actually liking her? It doesn't even have to be what I said, just anything nice. You could have given character arcs for both Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, as well as a reason for the audience to root for both characters, because the final fight should be pretty easy to write. Now Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel are both working together to try to fight Darman, and since we know that Kamala Captain Marvel can't beat her, there will be actual tension. Darman thinks that the Marvels are going to try the same strategy again, and is more than welcoming for them to try, only for it to be revealed that their plan isn't to fight her straight on, but to break the bracelet and end the body swap. Now the real Captain Marvel is unleashed, and Darman's confidence shatters. You can give the character the greatest beatdown and it will actually be deserved, because they worked for their victory. Now both characters actually saved the world while also becoming better characters. And then maybe, just maybe, people would actually be excited to see them in another movie. I forgot about Photon. Just cut her out of the movie. In fact, just cut out all this crap about Cats and Nick Fury. Focus the story on these two, because then the title The Marvels would actually make sense. The MCU owes its success to their simple, character-focused stories that got us invested in obscure characters like Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Falcon, and Bucky. And right now, they need characters more than ever, because it really shouldn't have mattered if this movie was led by female characters, or even obscure characters nobody really cared about, because every beloved character in history was once some random idea no one cared about. That's all I got for this video. Goodbye!